There is a family in Ohio that has not paid a water bill in over 200 years. They simply learned how to reach the water that was already theirs. The average American family now pays between $1,800 and $3,500 a year just for water. Stretch that across 30 years and it becomes more than $50,000. $50,000 for something that falls from the sky and rises from the ground for free. The Amish pay none of it. Every method they use is old, simple, and legal in most of the country. Today, I'm going to walk you through 10 of them. 10 ways the Amish find, collect, and purify water with little or no ongoing cost. It means no bill, no permission, and no company standing between you and a glass of clean water. Let us start with the one thing every Amish homestead is built around: the well. An old well digger can press his palm to the ground after a rain and tell you whether you are standing over sand or clay. Sand drains and clay holds, and for a well, you want the sand. Much of Ohio sits on a sandstone aquifer, and wells there drop 200 to 300 feet straight through it. That is thousands of years of natural underground filtration before the water ever reaches your bucket. Drilling a modern well runs between $5,000 and $7,000. You pay it once, and the water flows for the rest of your life. And since the year 2000, the average American water bill has climbed more than 200%, double the rate of inflation. Give a well 30 years and it has quietly saved you the price of a new car. But I have to be honest with you about something. Well, water is not automatically safe. In some counties, more than half of the wells tested came back with a contamination problem. That is why testing every spring is not optional. It is the whole reason the system works. So what about the water that falls, for free, onto every roof in America? This is where rainwater harvesting comes in. Walk behind any Amish barn and you will see the same setup everywhere. Metal roofs, clean gutters, and downspouts feeding stone cisterns dug into the hillside. But a single 1,500 square foot roof can catch close to 30,000 gallons from that rainfall. A family of 4 needs roughly 36,000 gallons a year. 2 decent roofs, and you are almost the whole way there. The cisterns are built by the community for a few $100s in materials. Hire a contractor for that same job, and you could easily pay $17,000 to $20,000. Same system, same water. The only difference is who you call for help. And in most of the country, collecting this water is legal, often up to 10,000 gallons with no permit. But here is something almost nobody knows. Even clean rainwater is not truly pure anymore. A study out of Stockholm found trace forever chemicals in rainwater everywhere on Earth, which is exactly why the Amish never drink it straight. They filter it first, using nothing but sand and charcoal. Picture a wooden barrel packed in careful layers. Fist-sized stones at the bottom, then gravel, then coarse sand, then fine sand, and finally homemade charcoal on top. You pour in water that looks like coffee, brown, cloudy, smelling like the pond it came from. And what runs out the bottom is clear enough that you would swear it came from a store. Scientists call this a biosand filter, and the World Health Organization recognizes it as one of the best low-cost purifiers on Earth. It removes up to 99% of E. coli and almost all parasites like Giardia. A filter like this can cost as little as $15 to $65 to build and last for decades. Filtering the water is only half of what these families mastered. The other half is keeping it cold and fresh without a single watt of electricity. And for that, they use a building most Americans have never heard of: the spring house. Picture a small stone building set partly into the ground, right over a natural spring. Water is channeled through carved grooves in the floor, moving constantly across the room. Step inside on the hottest day of summer, and the temperature drops 20 degrees the moment you cross the doorway. Inside, it holds around 55 degrees year-round. A refrigerator with zero electricity, invented centuries before the electric one. Butter, cheese, cream, cider, all kept cold in flowing spring water in crocks set into the channels. Most families today pay to run a fridge humming in the corner around the clock. These families pay nothing, and they will tell you the butter tastes better. Why does the modern market sell $600 water filters when the answer has sat in a hillside for 200 years? Reverse osmosis installed can climb from $1,000 to $8,000. And if you are truly off the grid, none of those even work without steady power. Meanwhile, the bottled water industry pulls in hundreds of billions a year, selling you something that fell from the sky. More than half of it is just repackaged tap water, marked up thousands of times over. To be fair, American tap water is tested, regulated, and safe for most of the country. The problem is what it costs what carries it, and who profits from the arrangement. Millions of lead pipes still carry water into American homes, and hundreds of water mains break every single day. The water can leave the plant clean and still travel through pipes older than your grandparents before it reaches your glass. If you are finding this useful, a quick like helps it reach more people who could use these methods. Now for the one that sounds too strange to be true, the tree branch filter. You take a fresh section of green branch, hold it over a jar, and pour dirty pond water through the wood itself. What comes out the other side is clear. The tissue inside a living branch, called xylem, exists to carry water from the roots up to the leaves. Its cells are full of tiny pores, big enough for water molecules, far too small for bacteria. And this is not folklore. Researchers at MIT tested branch wood and found it removed more than 99% of bacteria. No electricity, no chemicals, no moving parts, just wood. Science simply caught up. These branch filters will not remove viruses or dissolved chemicals on their own. So the rule has always been 3 steps. In order: filter first, boil second, drink third. But all of them need one more thing: a way to actually move water from where it is to where you need it. The answer is the simplest piece of engineering in this entire video: gravity. You place the cistern higher than the house, and the water flows downhill through a single pipe. No pump, no power, no moving parts at all. 50 feet, and you have enough for a shower. Open the tap, and water comes out the same as yours, just without the bill attached. But the next method is the one that makes people from town ask to be taught: the solar pump. Now you might be thinking the Amish reject electricity, so how is this possible? And the answer reveals something people get completely wrong about them. They do not reject technology. They reject dependence. Solar-powered pumps draw water from wells 200 to 300 feet deep, with no connection to any grid. The sun pumps the water. No bill, no company, no contract. A solar pump system costs between $1,300 and $2,600, paid once. Run an electric pump on the grid instead, and between hardware and 5 years of power, you are already past $5,000. And here's the part that surprised me most. Every solar pump still has a hand pump installed right beside it, side by side, for the cloudy weeks, for the emergencies, for the day the technology fails. Redundancy is not paranoia, it is wisdom. But solar panels are new, so what moved water for the 200 years before them? Something invented by the same man who built the first hot air balloon. Back in the 1790s, that inventor designed a pump that runs on nothing but flowing water. Zero fuel, zero outside power. It uses the force of water moving downhill to push a smaller portion of that water uphill. If you have a creek or spring with even a few feet of drop, this pump will move water to your home indefinitely. The whole setup costs between $200 and $800, and after that, the running cost is essentially nothing. You hear it before you see it, a steady clunk, clunk, clunk echoing off the hillside. No motor, no wires, just physics that a curious mind figured out over 2 centuries ago. Now, you might be watching all of this convinced it must be illegal where you live. In most states, drilling a private well just requires a local permit and a water test, and then the well is yours. Rainwater harvesting is legal, often up to 10,000 gallons, with no special approval. And the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act only regulates public systems. Private wells are largely exempt. It does vary by state, but many places have loosened old rules, and dozens of states have no restrictions at all. There have even been legal fights where counties tried to force Amish families onto city water and lost, all the way up to the highest courts. The government has to prove your way does not work, not the other way around. So drop a comment and tell me your situation. Well, city water or bottled. I am genuinely curious how many of you are already doing some version of this. But the last piece is the one that actually makes it Amish. The whole community digs wells together. When a new family arrives, 20 people show up and build their cistern the same way they raise a barn, finished by sundown. When one family's well runs dry, 3 neighbors show up before Sunday. Nobody sends a bill and nobody files a claim. You just show up, because that is how it has been for 200 years. So you might be wondering why this knowledge is not everywhere. And the honest answer is that it was never hidden. It was just forgotten. And somewhere along the way, the world stopped paying attention. Not because it stopped working, but because something more profitable took its place. The water was always there, and it was always free. We simply forgot how to reach it. I am not telling you to leave the city and dig a well tomorrow. I am telling you the option exists, and that nobody should feel afraid to use it. None of this replaces a city water system overnight, and it was never meant to. It was meant to give you a choice. So if any of this was worth your time, subscribe. Not for me, but for the kind of knowledge that was always meant to be free. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. There is always another forgotten method coming, so I will see you in the next one.